Let's fingers crossed because we were okay last time. Up until it felt like up until this point anyway. Right, I'll send you the link. I've just popped the link in. I think I'm a little bit blurry, but as long as the audio is okay. How's yeah, and I'm kind of movement looks okay, not too laggy or anything. Have you have you have you muted me again? Have you muted the computer because I couldn't hear myself then? Yeah, just unmute it one more time for me. Yeah, okay, few seconds. That's not too bad, is it? Good, 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 good. How's your day been? Did you have to go into school today? Did you say? Your choice or yeah. Yeah. Evening, everybody. I can see that people are starting to join us now. Hopefully, I was going to say last week's, but actually 3 weeks previous tech problems are resolving themselves now. So thank you for sticking with us and being flexible and joining us for the eighth installment, I think, the eighth installment and eighth and final, I will say it now, to temper any disappointment at the end, the eighth and final installment of the NSB lockdown quiz, because we're back to work next week, so we can't really do the lockdown quiz. So if you can do as I've asked you every week until now, and I'm pretty sure that everyone who is here is a veteran of many quizzes and many summers. If you just do the usual, stick your team name in the chat so we can tick you off the register, that would be great. And as always, we will look to start for 7:30. So you've got about another 10 minutes to get yourselves ready, get yourselves comfortable, get yourself zoomed on to everyone you're zooming with, get yourself some drinks. I'm on a nice Languedoc Red this evening, if anyone wants to know. Yeah, we will start when we can. And just get your team names in the chat as and when, please. Yeah. Here's my deets. The Farad and Joe end of lockdown beer session money. The most worthy of all the Charity Week charities. Nice. Oh, that is nice. Wow. It's the beginning of a return to normality. Now, people are coming in, but they're not as quick to say hello this time. I'm just wondering if there's any reason for that. Anybody there? I can see numbers ticking up on the screen, but I can't see any hellos. And you're usually so quick to tell me you're in when you're in. There we go. Putting my mind at rest as always, Shirley. Thank you. And it's your birthday. Gosh, happy birthday, Shirley. Thompson Tartans are in. Winfields, could tonight be the night for you? You're a couple of hours early, mate, by the way. So if you want to, we said we'd start the quiz at 9, Tom. So I had a terrible dream, Tom, that you turned up at the wrong quiz altogether, and I thought, God, if that ever happened, it would be awful. So yeah, that's three teams have made themselves known now. Three season teams. Don't think any winners yet. If I'm right in thinking, Winfield's Redemption have lost out on the tiebreaks twice. I'm sure you don't need to be reminded, but I'm going to remind you anyway. And I don't think Thompson Tartans, you haven't quite reached the top of the greasy pole yet. And I think Lady Covidas as well are nearly men and women of the quiz. So we're still waiting on. Reigning champions would be Pam's team, I believe. What was Pam's team name? No, that was Emily's team, I think. Should know the name of the reigning champions, even if it was a few weeks ago. Hello, Vari. Thank you for joining us. The NQTs, another team who have always been up and about. You have won before, haven't you? Actually, if I remember rightly, Vari and the NQTs. You are previous champions. Agatha Christie are the reigning champions, of course, yet to make their entrance. So are we with or without Quiz Read tonight, Farad? Without. So it won't be a triple. Was it a triple? Did they have three and they were looking for 4? Looking for 4, so that 3 will be all. Hello, Emily. Thanks for joining us. Let's get Quiz Caller in. Financial chances are in. Social quizzing. Hi, Steph. Some old familiar names here. I feel wrapped in your collective warm embrace. These familiar names, and I would say familiar faces, but it's mostly just kind of various different flavors of kind of silhouettes. Barry, you've got a picture for some reason. Nobody else does. Laggers legends are in. A lovely bit of alliteration there. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 8 teams in, Farad. We're expecting about 12, 13. So we're 2/3 of the way there. That's great. And we look like we'll be able to start nice and promptly at 7:30. The teams that we're waiting on are so experienced that they'd be insulted if I said this to them. So I'll just say it now once for my own peace of mind. Same format as always, if you remember how we operate. 4 rounds, 15 questions per round. Round 1 and round 2 are straightforward, knowledge-based. I ask the questions, you give me the answers. We'll have a little bit of a break in between each one whilst Farad marks. People ask for repeats, and then you can go and fill your glasses and that sort of thing. Round 3 is a picture round. There'll be some people that really like this picture round, and some people who only just like it. Everyone will like it. Some people like it more than others. When you do that picture round, I will say you've got, let's say, I'm going to say 15 minutes because I always say 10 minutes and it takes 15. A lot of talking, and I'm shy, retiring, and taciturn, and I really don't like talking. And we'll come back, we'll go through, we'll give you scores on the doors, and then the final round will, of course, be connection. And I've put together 3 connection sets for the quiz survivors that you are. You've made it through to the quiz apocalypse. I think the quiz star is waning a little bit now. At the start of lockdown, it's all anyone wanted to do. It was the new gym, and now it's gone the way of Pokemon Go. It had a brief moment in the sun, and now everyone's wondering why they wasted so much time on it. So yeah, same format as always. You should already have your answer sheets. They were in Farad's initial email. But if you haven't got those or you've had any difficulty with those, Farad, I'm sure, will kindly pop the answer sheets in the chat as and when they are needed. You won't have got the answer sheet for round 3, of course, because it's a picture round and I don't want you peeking at it early. It's going to be weird seeing some of you tomorrow. You've just become kind of disembodied abstract concepts. Really, just quiz teams. I've forgotten the individuals behind the teams. You're just a bunch of people who shout at me for getting answers wrong, or can I accept this? No, of course I can't accept it. It's wrong. Yeah, just actually seeing your faces again will be so strange. There's been a real lack of sort of physical contact and that sort of thing over the last few weeks, and dare say it might even be quite pleasant to see some of you. Wilborns, hi Jackie, lovely to see you. we're almost there now. I think we've got 9, 10 with in Tequila Mockingbirds. Another team who have won in the past. Has this happened again? Are we once again waiting on our reigning champions to grace us with their presence? You win one quiz, and you think you can turn up when you want. Come on, Pam, where are you? Who else are we waiting for, Parry? Agatha Christie, and who else are we waiting for? Oh, okay. I thought you still had. And the Crown Corners. Well, yeah, Victoria wouldn't miss it for the world. She was furious with us for not running it for the last couple of weeks. Furious. So I'm sure she's just getting ready. So that means that if Agatha Christie aren't playing, does that mean we have a vacant crown, a hollow crown? Is this a succession crisis? Power vacuum? Wow, that's so. Just to, I'm not going to say this is confirmed. They might surprise us, but I can semi-exclusively reveal that the current reigning champions may not be in attendance this evening, which means that this is anyone's game. Thompson Tartans, Wilborns, long-time players, dare I say long-time losers. Could this be the night for you? Could the NQTs or Tequila Mockingbirds reclaim a victory? Social distancing. The only thing you seem to have won was the battle for the name way back in week 1, and Lady Providers always there and abouts. And let's just hope there aren't any tiebreakers. Hi, Julia. Crown Corners are in, which means I think it's just the fielders we're waiting on. So we should be able to start really, really promptly. I do, I tend to avoid too much in the way of the general chit chat, but it's been a while since we sort of we've touched base. I hope everyone's been really, really well. I hope the slight lifting of things has made life a little bit easier, and you've been able to enjoy the last few weeks and the lovely weather that we had. And as I said before, everyone was assembled. It'll be really nice to see some of you tomorrow and going forward. And now all teams are present. Hi, Victoria and the fielders. But we've got one more quiz to get through. It's been 8 long weeks of quizzing. We've had highs and lows and highs. And I hope that it has done its job of keeping you all occupied and stimulated. And let's do it one more time. If you are ready, can you get your round 1 answer sheets open? Farad's just going to pop the answer sheet in the chat now as well, just for anyone who hasn't got it to hand. I say this every week, but it's worth reminding you. Pens and paper, invaluable, because you can write down questions and clues and things like that, so you don't have to have them all repeated. I will, as always, read through all 15 questions in the round first, and then read through them quickly again a second time. So you will hear every question at least twice, okay? Don't have to wait for me to finish. Certainly the second reading of questions, you probably want to wait for the first reading, unless you're feeling very confident. Don't have to worry about waiting for the second reading. When you are ready to submit, you submit. And the quicker you submit, the quicker Farad can mark them, the quicker I can give you the answers, and the quicker we can move on to subsequent rounds. So unless anyone has any objections or questions, which I'm going to assume you don't, because you've done this many a time before, let's start with round 1, shall we? So, week the 8th, week the final, round 1 is thirds. All of these questions have something to do with the idea of being third. That's your link, that's your linking theme throughout these questions. So, round 1, question 1 of the final NSB lockdown quiz is: what is the 3rd largest US state? How did you do on these questions this week, Farad? I didn't ask you. Did you have a go at them? Fitting. How would you rate this week's difficulty? Because you're a Philistine. Question 2. Alongside Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, who was the third crew member of the Apollo 11 moon landing mission? And the only one that didn't actually get to walk on the moon. Question number 3. Published in 1952, what was the name of the third book in C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia series? And I will specify here, because there'll always be some big super fan who asks, I am looking for the third book that was released, not the third book chronologically in the timeline of the Narnia world. So he released the first book, the second book. What was the third book released in 1952? Question number 4. By number of speakers, what is the world's third most commonly spoken language after Mandarin Chinese and English? So this is not how many countries it's spoken in or anything like that. It's simply by number of speakers. The world's third most commonly spoken language. That's question 4. Also, Tom, I've just seen your message. Obviously, I have. Do you think I speak to myself? I mean, I do speak to myself quite a lot, but that's by the by. Who do you think I test these questions on? Question 5. According to the most up-to-date ONS statistics, what is the third largest city in the UK by population? The third most populous city in the United Kingdom. What is it? Question number 6. 14 men and women have served as Prime Minister under Elizabeth II. Who was the third who came to office in 1957? Question number 7. Which of the following was the third most popular girl's name in the UK in 2019? And it's multiple choice, so you just need to give us a letter A, B, or C. Was it A, Olivia, B, Freya, or C, Lily? So third most popular girl's name in 2019. A, Olivia, B, Freya, C, Lily. Question number 8. In the first ever series of Pop Idol, Will Young was triumphant and Gareth Gates came second, but who came third? Yeah, Farad, I know that's a great question. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it's just one of those questions, isn't it? You think first series of Pop Idol, Will Young, easy, and then you go, oh well, you can't catch me out. Second, Gareth Gates, he did quite well as well, didn't he? Who came third though? There's a hell of a question because you'll know him. I'm giving you a slight clue there, but you'll know him. You'll know him. Just can you remember the name? Question number 9. Who played the role of elderly alien inside a human teenager's body? That's a quote from the synopsis. Tommy Solomon in the sci-fi sitcom Third Rock from the Sun. He has since gone on to have a number of high-profile Hollywood roles. So that's Tommy Solomon in the sci-fi sitcom Third Rock from the Sun. Who played him? Question 10. After all varieties of elephant and rhinoceroses are taken into account, what is the world's third heaviest land animal? The world's third heaviest land animal. Farid says that does not include him after lockdown. I think that is something we can all much empathise with. I remember hearing at the start of this, everyone was kind of saying, right, well, you're either going to get fit or you're going to get fat during lockdown. I have yet to meet anyone that has gone down the former route. And if they exist, fair play to them. What was it I said I was going to do when lockdown started, Farid? 100 press-ups a day. I have not done 100 press-ups, put it that way. Question number 11. After the Burj Khalifa in Dubai and the Shanghai Tower, in which city is the world's third tallest building? The structure was completed in 2012 and is the world's tallest building with a clock face. Now, I'm asking for the city here rather than the name of the structure because I think the structure, it's a bit tough to ask the name of the structure itself. If you give the name of the structure, we'll probably give it as well. But I think asking you the city is actually easier. In the same way that asking someone, the name of the world's tallest building is a lot harder than asking which city it's in Dubai. So all I'm after is the city, but if you can name the building as well, there'll be no bonus marks, but it'll look impressive. Question number 12. In terms of most UK #1 singles ever, after Elvis Presley with 21 and the Beatles with 17, two acts are joint third with 14 UK #1s. Name either of them for a point. Don't need both, just one or the other. Question number 13. Who was the third Emperor of Rome? He reigned from 37 AD to 41 AD. The third Roman Emperor, 37 to 41 AD. Who was he? Question number 14. What is the third largest planet in the solar system? Also, I will not accept Farid after lockdown. I mean, honestly, the hypocrisy of that joke is unbelievable. What, anyone notice that I'm not wearing a kind of, ironed fitted shirt tonight? I've gone for a sort of baggy jumper. That is part laziness and part camouflage. I'm not the chiseled Adonis that you might remember from February, that's for sure. And question 15. Progressing clockwise from Go, which is the third railway station a player would pass on their way around the board in a classic game of UK Monopoly? So travelling clockwise from Go, what is the third railway station a player would pass on their way around the board in a standard game of Monopoly? So if you are happy to, you could submit your answers right away using the submit button at the bottom. But if you've missed any questions and you want to hear them again, listen up because I'm going to blast through them a second time now. Question 1. What is the third largest US state? Question 2. Alongside Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, who was the third crew member on the Apollo 11 moon landing mission? Question 3. Published in 1952, what was the name of the third book in C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia series? Question 4. By number of speakers, after English and Mandarin Chinese, what is the world's third most commonly spoken language? Question 5. What is the third largest city in the UK by population? Question 6. Who was the third Prime Minister under Elizabeth II, coming to office in 1957? Question 7. Which of the following was the third most popular girl's name in the UK in 2019? A. Olivia. B. Freya. C. Lily. Who came third after Will Young and Gareth Gates in the first ever series of Pop Idol? Question 9. Who played Tommy Solomon in Third Rock from the Sun? He has since gone on to have a number of high-profile Hollywood roles. Question 10. After all varieties of elephant and rhinoceroses are taken into account, what is the world's third heaviest land animal? Question 11. In which city is the world's third tallest building? The structure was completed in 2012 and is the world's tallest building with a clock face. Question 12. In terms of most UK #1 singles, after Elvis Presley and the Beatles, 2 acts are joint third with 14 each. Name either for a point. Question 13. Who was the third emperor of Rome, reigning from 37 to 41 AD? Question 14. What is the third largest planet in the solar system? And question 15. Travelling clockwise from go, what is the third railway station a player passed on their way around the board in a classic game of UK Monopoly? So, answers in when you are ready. Farid will keep me abreast of who's submitted. This is a chance if you got your answers in early. To take a couple of minutes while people get theirs in. But with these experienced quiz hands, no PE teachers to drag us down, I'm expecting the answers to fly in fast and furious. Whether they're right is another matter, but I expect them to at least come in. A lot of blue so far. What's that? Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's one where you've just got to make sure you're listening to all of the question, isn't it? Oh, hang on. With that one, the Monopoly one, the one you just said to me, yeah, accept that as well. Yes. Yeah, and I think the definition of standard might be quite hard to define when it comes to Monopoly. So, yeah, accept that. No, because I believe that is birth name, and I believe it is name by which they now go. Sorry, just double checking a couple of not wrong answers by any stretch or wrong questions, just a few interpretations of answers that people have given. And as always on this quiz, I like to be as flexible and as forgiving as possible. And if you've given an answer that can be construed as right within the confines of the question. I would never want to deny anyone a point on that, not least because you give me hell about it, and also just because it's not how I like to do things. Yeah. Give me one moment. Yeah, it does look like it, doesn't it? No, yeah. I've double checked one of them, and it is just the one that people have given. So yeah, okay. So I can now go through the answers for you. So some really good performances there, and some really high scores. I think we're going to see. So famous thirds, and the reason I've gone for this is because everyone always knows the biggest or the longest serving or the most famous, but you know some quizzes might know the second, but the third is usually a bit of a tougher prospect. If second is the first loser, I mean, you know, whoever remembers the bronze medalist. So, in terms of your thirds, the answer to question one, the third largest US state, it is Alaska, Texas, and then California comes in third. The Nearly Man, the third part of the Apollo 11 moon landing mission, who never walked on the moon, the Tom Winfield of moon landings, there but not there, was, of course, Michael Collins. Famously, when asked about why it was Armstrong that went out onto the moon, not the others, he said because he was closest to the door. Of all the things they planned, they never actually planned who was going to get out and go first, apparently. Narnia books, you've got the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You've got Prince Caspian, and then you've got the Voyage of the Dawn Treader as the third book in the series. This was a tough question. And particularly, it was focused on the total number of speakers of this language. Mandarin Chinese first, English second. The third most commonly spoken language in the world is Hindi. Loads of people putting Spanish. Hindi manages to just go above Spanish if you take into account people who speak it as a second or additional language, because pretty much everyone in India is going to speak it as a second language, and other parts of the region. So the answer is Hindi. So a lot of people putting Spanish, unfortunately not getting that one, although I can completely see it. And you might say the question was misleading. I don't think it was, but I can see why so many people have gone for Spanish there. Question 5, one team getting this one. The third largest city in the UK by population, according to most recent ONS statistics, is Glasgow, above Manchester, which I think a lot of people favoured. But if you listen carefully and hear UK, it is Glasgow. Third Prime Minister under Elizabeth II was Macmillan, Harold Macmillan. Question 7 is an interesting one. So which was the third most popular girl's name in 2019? Olivia, Freya, or Lily? Olivia was the most popular name in 2019. It was number 1 on the list. Freya was in the top 10, but the third most popular was Lily. Lily. So they're all popular girls' names, but Lily was the third. Farad's favourite question here. First ever series of Pop Idol. Will Young was the winner. Gareth Gates came second. And Darius Dinesh. Some of you have given that as Darius Campbell, which is the name he kind of now goes by, because he's no longer a pop star. He's now a serious opera singer. And I know he's made himself big in the world of opera, and I think he wants a slightly more serious sounding name, perhaps. But yeah, Darius Dinesh, Darius Campbell, probably would have just accepted Darius or Darius as well. Question 9, tough one this. Third Rock from the Sun, Tommy Solomon, was played by teenage Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who of course gone on to star in a number of big Hollywood films since then. Third heaviest land animal after elephants and all forms of rhinoceri, etc., is the hippopotamus. Question 11, the world's third tallest building is in Mecca. It is the Abraj Al Bait Clock Tower in Mecca, which I never would have guessed until I looked that one up. I had no idea that building even existed. Question 12. Elvis, the Beatles, Cliff Richard, and Westlife. You could have had either Cliff Richard or Westlife, both with 14 number ones. Question 13. The third emperor of Rome was Caligula. Caligula. If you know anything about Caligula, it's probably that he was crazy and made his horse a senator. He didn't make his horse a senator, but it makes for a good story, I suppose. And he was pretty crazy. Question 14. It's Jupiter, it's Saturn, and then it's Neptune. Neptune is third. And question 15. Progressing clockwise from go, which is the third railway station a player would pass on their way around the board in a classic game of UK Monopoly. That is Fenchurch Street Station. There's a little bit I pulled up a odd version of the Monopoly board on this question, I think, because a lot of people have gone for Fenchurch Street. There was one team that gave the answer that I also had down initially, so I'm given the point for that one as well. But yeah, pretty much everyone picking up a point there. Unfortunately, those souls that went for Liverpool Street and Marylebone just you backed the wrong horses, I'm afraid. But yes, so some questions that you've absolutely gobbled up there, some questions that have stumped you, and overall, I'm expecting some pretty high scores after round one. So let's see if I'm right. Yeah, okay, yeah, not bad, not bad. We will start with our teams in joint fifth. So these are teams who scored 8 points. 8 points in that round. The Fielders and Tequila Mockingbird both got 8 points on that round. In joint third with 9 points each are the newly quarantined teachers and the Wilborns. In second place, making a house a home, it is Winfield's Redemption. And in first place, with a very impressive 12 points out of a possible 15, we have Laggers Legends in pole position after the first round. Well done to Paul and family there. I don't know if that's a position you've been in before, top of the table, but see if you can hold it out. So beyond that, lots of teams with 7, a couple of teams with 6. So still really, really tight, as it always is after round 1. But Laggers Legends are leading the charge. That's rude. Why on earth have I managed to get that one wrong? We'll sort it out in a sec. Yeah, I don't know how I've done that actually. Yeah, sort that one out. If you don't know quite where that's come from. Yeah, question 14. I don't know how I managed to get that one. That's the kind of thing that I've known since I was a kid, and clearly in just compiling this a few weeks ago, I've just put the wrong thing in. So my mistake. Yeah, question 14. We've had a little. We've changed that. So thank you for pointing that out. Question 2. Answer sheet for question 2 has gone into the chat. Laggers, I think this might suit you actually in terms of trying to hold pole position because it's a sport round. It's a sport round. So this one might be to your taste. So if everyone is ready, we will start with round 2 on sport. And hopefully there'll be fewer contentious answers in this one. So question number 1 on the sport round. Which player has scored the most total goals in FIFA World Cup tournament matches? Not including penalties, his tally is 16. changing that, Farad. That's me. Not checking my own checking my working out. Getting cocky 2 months in. Question 2. Which of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments is played on clay? So which of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments is played on clay? Question 3. Kelly Southerton won bronze for Great Britain in which event at both the 2004 and 2008 Olympic Games? I believe in 2008 it might have been retroactive after athletes above her were struck off, but she did walk away with bronze from both of those tournaments. In what events? Question 4. What is the name of the 25-year-old dart sensation who made history by becoming the first woman to win a match at the PDC World Championships in December of last year? Question 5, and where's John Elder when you need him? Which cricketer who retired in 2010 is the only man to date to have taken 800 test wickets in his career? Question number 6. In rugby union, Shock Brits, Malcolm Marx, and Bongi Monambi have all represented the Springboks in which position? And for those of you that aren't big on your rugby, I'll accept either the name of the position or the number on the shirt usually worn by that position. So if you're not huge on your rugby, you've got a percentage chance to get it if you pick a number. So Shock Brits, Malcolm Marx, and Bongi Mbambi have all represented the Springboks, South Africa, in which position? Question number 7. After his fairly disastrous career as England manager, Wally with the Brolly Steve McLaren went on to manage which second-tier Dutch club side to league victory in the 2009-10 season? This is the sort of thing you know, Farad. Random, obscure, continental football. I'm sure you got that one. Do you know how you pronounce it? Do you? Just checking. Question number 8. Calcio Storica, often referred to by locals as the old game, is a brutal variant of football in which choking, headbutting, and punching are permitted. It is now played annually in June in the Piazza Santa Croce in which Italian city? So in which Italian city do they play Calcio Storica, the old game? Sounds like my kind of variant of football. Hmm. Cherry pie. Question number 9. Which horse became, in 2019, the first since Red Rum to win the Grand National twice in a row? Question number 10. How many laps of the Indianapolis Speedway must racers complete as part of the annual Indy 500 race? Question 11. According to the PGA and affiliated professional bodies worldwide, what is the maximum number of clubs a golfer can carry in his bag for a competitive round of golf? The maximum number of clubs in the bag. Do you abide by this rule when you hit the links, Farad? Yeah, because the answer is always to hit it with two clubs at the same time, isn't it? If in doubt. If in doubt, use more clubs. Question 12. Which professional boxer had the nickname Hands of Stone? Imagine if teachers had nicknames like boxers amongst kids. Oh, what have you got now? Yeah, I've got science with Hands of Stone. Oh, lucky, I've got English with a raging bull. I love it. Now, I hope that everyone who heard that comment is now thinking, oh, I wonder what my nickname would be amongst the kids. The Moroccan Maverick. I just take Scarface, I think. Question 13. Which professional English rugby union team play their home games at Ashton Gate? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know if I want to let him have the Viking because it's what he's so desperately cultivated his look around it for years now. But it is hard to deny. Then again, the Vikings did a lot of desperate preening of their own look. It was all an image, so maybe it works. Question 14. In basketball, which city is home to the Celtics? And question 15. It's a simple true or false question. True or false? Nobody has won BBC Sports Personality of the Year more than once. Is that true or is that false? So if you are happy that you've answered all of the questions as well as you can, feel free to submit them. Otherwise, I'll blast through them a second time for you. So, which player has scored the most total goals in FIFA World Cup tournament matches? His tally is 16, not including penalties. Which of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments is played on clay? Kelly Southerton won bronze for Great Britain in which event in both 2004 and 2008 at the Olympics? Question 4. What is the name of the 25-year-old dart sensation who made history by becoming the first woman to win a match at the PDC Championships last year? Question 5. Which cricketer who retired in 2010 is the only man to date to have taken 800 test wickets? Question 2. Shulk Brit, Malcolm Marks and Bongi Mbambi have all represented the Springboks in which position? Question 7. Where did Steve McLaren go? Which Dutch club did he go on to manage to victory in the 2009-10 season after leaving England? Question 8. In which Italian city is Calcio Storica, the old game, played in the Piazza Santa Croce every year? Question 9. Which horse became in 2019 the first since Red Rum to win the Grand National twice in a row? Question 10. How many laps of the Indianapolis Speedway must races complete as part of the annual Indy 500? Question 11. How many clubs is a golfer allowed in his bag, according to the PGA? Question 12. Which boxer had the nickname Hands of Stone? Which professional English rugby union team play their home games at Ashton Gate? That's question 13. Question 14. Which American city is home to the Celtics? And question 15. True or false? Nobody has won BBC Sports Personality of the Year more than once. And the answers are positively flying in. Or often is with the sports. Sports rounds do tend to be a little bit feast or famine, don't they? So some teams say that they hate them, and some teams rub their hands with athletic glee whenever a sports round comes up. At least no one can say that they probably don't really have much of a preference for thirds. Probably not a specialist subject for anybody, but sport does tend to be one that some people really do excel in. If anyone can topple Lagden from first place after a sports round, I'll be impressed. Ooh. Just accidentally admitted to everyone on the stream that I'm wearing sliders. Why am I not surprised? Let's have a look. Am I going to be disappointed or impressed? Very good. I mean, the irony being it's not much funnier than the actual answer. I like that Laggers gives us a few little bonus little tidbits with his answers as well. either loads of question marks if he's not sure, or I've been there, done that. I love the little insight we get into the mind of the man when he submits his answers. It's great. I say that anybody is free, by the way, when you put in your answers, to throw in a random little interesting fact about yourself that relates to the question. Have you been there? Have you seen it? Have you met them? You're more than welcome to. Farid might disagree as he tries to sift through the answers and see what's actually right and wrong, but I welcome it. And if you're ever in doubt, a comedy answer in place of a pass never goes amiss. Almost all in. Just waiting on Lady Providers and Winfield's redemption, I think. And then we're all in, and I can hit you with the answers whilst Farid is doing the marking. Yeah, there are some good scores, aren't there? Still just waiting on Shirley and Tom. Now just Shirley. Thank you, Tom. Oh, Julia, getting your excuses in early. I haven't even brought it up. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what you're talking about. I'm now, just so you know, I am in my head just assigning each and every one of you a boxing style nickname. So I'm probably not going to share any of them, as I in friend and my job. But next time I see you, well, I'm going to be able to think of them, I'm afraid. And Tom, yours is most certainly not the Viking. Lady Kavide is still just waiting on you. Just waiting on you, Shirley. I'd love to go through the answers. And I will do in a minute anyway. But if you can get that submitted, I would be eternally grateful. Excellent stuff. Thanks, Shirley. Okay, so answers to the sport rounds. So some really, really good scores. Question 1, the player that scored the most goals at the World Cup is Miroslav Klose, the German striker, with 16 goals. Absolutely every team got this one right. Which of the Grand Slam tennis tournaments played on clay? That is the French Open. We've accepted Roland Garros as well. Question 3, Kelly Southerton won bronze in the heptathlon. Question 4, the female dart sensation was Fallon Sherrock. Question 5, as much of a spelling challenge as it was a test of your cricketing knowledge, the cricketer who retired in 2010, the only man to have taken over 800 test wickets, is the Sri Lankan spinner Lataya Muralitharan. And don't worry, we have been very generous on spelling on that one. Now, question 6. Schultz Brits, Malcolm Marks, and Bongi Mbambi have all represented the Springboks in which position? Now, the Crown Corners took it upon themselves to try and make the answer to this question silly and sexual, which I don't really appreciate. Julia and team gave the answer missionary, as in missionary position, which I think is completely disgusting, because the answer is, of course, hooker. So I just don't think it's appropriate to give a silly sexual answer when the answer is hooker. I just don't think it's on. This is a family quiz. Yeah. So the answer it's hooker, and if you've put number 2, that's all right as well. And if we did half points, missionary probably point. Question 7, Steve McLaren, the Wally with the Brolly, went off to the Netherlands and he managed FC 20. The Calcio Storica, the old game, the brutal variant of football in which choking, headbutting and punching are all permitted. I've only just found out they're not permitted in association football. Sorry, Roman. Is now played annually in June in the Piazza Santa Croce in Florence. The horse that won the Grand National twice was Tiger Roll. Now, question 10, bit of a sort of Dirty Harry moment. I know what you're thinking. Is it a trick question or not? The Indy 500 is so called because the race is 500 miles long, and it takes 200 laps of the Indianapolis Speedway to complete. Question 11, the PGA say that you're allowed 14 clubs in your bag. Farrah assures me that if he owned that many clubs, he'd be better at golf. Question 12, the boxer with the nickname Hands of Stone was the Panamanian Roberto Duran. Can't say Duran once without saying Duran again, I find. You always have to say it twice. Question 13, the rugby union team that play at Ashton Gate are the Bristol Bears. Some of you may have got it through rugby, some of you may have got it through football, but the key is Bristol. Boston is where the Celtics play. And, well, the last 3 questions, hat trick of perfect answers. Everyone got Bristol, everyone got Boston, and everyone got that it was false that nobody had ever won Sports Personality of the Year more than once. In fact, multiple people have. Damon Hill, Nigel Mansell, and the boxer Henry Cooper, all having won it twice. And, of course, everyone's favourite Mr. Charisma, Andy Murray, has won it 3 times. The most ever win, Andy Murray with 3 wins. So some really good answers on that and some really good scores. Third place, because this round has seriously squared things up. In 7th place, 1 point, are financing our chances. We then have an unprecedented 5 teams in joint second. Would you add or leave it? So, with 22 points apiece, the Thompson Tartans, Tequila Mockingbird, the Fielders, Winfield's Redemption, and the Wilborns. Thompson Tartans, Tequila Mockingbird, 14 on that round. Winfield, Wilborns, 13. Some really high scores, pushing everyone up and making it very, 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 very tight. Probably the tightest we've ever been after round 2 in terms of scores. But one team rise to the top like the veritable cream that they are. It is Laggers Legends on a mightily impressive 27 points. The picture around this week is an art round. I think I just heard Emily's cry of celebration from here. It's an art round. You are going to get an answer sheet with 15 famous, and some of them are seriously famous, don't worry, famous artworks. Famous artworks. All you have to do is name the artist. Name the artist. It doesn't have to be their full name. Insofar as Madonna, the singer, she's known as Madonna. You get away with Madonna, yeah. So give us the answer that you expect us to have heard them as. You don't need to name the painting. You don't need to name the artistic movement or the era or the year in which it was painted, just the artist. And if you're in doubt, just put Picasso for all of them and be done with it. But I think you'll find them easier than me saying it's an art round might make you think. And I think some of these, a few pennies will drop. A well-travelled man like you will have seen half of these anyway. Before I sneeze, I'm going to say the answer sheet is going to go into the chat now. You're going to have 15 minutes. You just get them. The quicker you get, the quicker that Farid can start to mark them and move on. So 15 minutes. Submit when you're ready. When I get back, we'll go through them. This will also, remember, serve as your break. So top up your glasses, take a comfort break, get yourselves comfortable. Be back here in 15 minutes with your answer sheet submitted. Please, that is 8:45, and we will be able to go through the answers and once they're all in. So 15 minutes, name the artist, off you go. Hello again, everybody. Couple of minutes early. I said 1:45, but just a little reminder that the sooner you get your answers in, the sooner you can get them marked, the sooner I can put you out of your misery. Because I'm sure some of you are saying, "Oh, I've seen so many of these. You know, I've stood in front of it. I've pretended to be interested by it. I've pretended to care about it, um, and you can't quite recall." So the quicker you can get them in, the quicker I can make you go, "Oh, of course, it was that one when it was there, and wasn't even the most interesting one in the room," and all that sort of stuff that people usually say. Or, I don't know, I don't care. Paintings are boring. Whatever. But yeah, if you can get them, a few teams have submitted already, which is fantastic. Lady Providers, thank you for getting in nice and early. Tequila Mockingbird, smashing it. Thompson Tartans, so just waiting on Finance, Wilborns, NQTs, Laggers Legends, and Emily is making sure she gets the full 15 on this, taking her sweet time, which is something I can appreciate on these what I call enforced specialist rounds. Everyone thinks you should be really good at them. It's like the misfortune of being a PE teacher in a sport round or a music teacher in a music round. Everyone, there's no pressure, Emily, but everyone expects you to do really well. But yeah, thank you for being so prompt with your responses, everybody. That makes our life a lot easier. It stops me having to bore you with my patter, and it means that we can move on. So just waiting on 3 teams now. Excellent. I also don't think, and this is where I'm going to be testing myself, I don't think I wrote down the names of any of the pieces. Oh no, I did. Oh, I couldn't remember whether I put the names of the pieces actually in the answer sheet, so I was just going to have to try and remember which ones they were. But I haven't put myself under that much pressure. Yeah, well, let's get quizzical. Really are milking this one. Absolutely refusing to drop a point. Yeah, Emily's just desperately searching through all of her university notes now. The old uni work folder. We've all got one. But my mum found some of my old uni work the other day. It's quite enlightening. Well, one can only hope. In, great. I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. Okay, so everyone's in. Oh, someone furnishes with some exclamation. I can't remember. Oh, that was Emily as well. Okay, so around a lot of you, I think, were probably expecting or fearing to be harder than it actually was. A lot of these pieces really, really famous. So, question 1 was, of course, Pablo Picasso. It was Guernica, Pablo Picasso. Question 2. I don't know if a quiz question really gets much easier than this. That was, of course, the Mona Lisa by Leonardo. If you've put Da Vinci, you shouldn't have put Da Vinci. You should have put Leonardo, but we'll accept Da Vinci. Yeah, that was Leonardo da Vinci. Question 3. That was the Impressionist Claude Monet with his water lilies. Doing really well so far, everybody, by the way. No need to be so worried. Question 5 was, of course, Turner, the Fighting Temeraire. Question 5, this is where it gets a little bit tougher. Question 5 was Sura, with the Sunday afternoon on the island of Le Grand Jatte. The cushions in another room, but you may have seen that one in the past. I think I remember Helen's eagle eyes picking that one out of the past. Pointillist work. Question 6 was Degas, his ballet dancers. Supposedly, the reason for the perspective is because he used to peek in through the keyhole and look at the dancers. The difference between being a great artist and a pervert really is just a matter of talent, isn't it? Oh, I did that. I don't think being a quiz, that's for sure. Question 7. This was Rembrandt, with a painting that's usually known as the Night Watch, but is more accurately known as the Shooting Party of Franz Banning-Koch. And apparently, it's only called the Night Watch because it looks really dark, but that's because of kind of fading and sort of build up on the painting. They kind of cleaned it fairly recently, and apparently it's not nighttime at all, and it's actually a very bright, vibrant picture. So called the Night Watch, but probably shouldn't be. But the answer, anyway, is Rembrandt. Emily, Franz Hals is the Laughing Cavalier. I think you might have been getting it mixed up with. Question 8 is Gauguin, the Yellow Christ. Question 9, of course, the old melting clocks. It's Dali with the persistence of memory. Question 10, kind of everyone kind of picking sort of general Renaissance Italian painters. This particular one was the Venus of Urbino by Titian. Question 11 is, of course, Whistler's Mother by Whistler. Question 12 was one of the Screaming Popes by Francis Bacon. Question 13, almost as recognizable as the Mona Lisa and Sunflower and the Water Lilies, was, of course, Sunflowers by Van Gogh. Van Gogh, Van Gogh, however you want to say it. Question 14 was a court painting, of course, of Henry VIII by the famous 16th century portrait artist Hans Holbein the Younger. And we have just accepted Holbein on that one because we're not monsters. And question 15 is Salome with the Head of John the Baptist by the wonderful Caravaggio. So actually, some really, really good scores there, as much as people were worried about that one. Oh, and this has diversified the table fairly substantially, I must say. So, I'm going to start with the teams in joint 5th place now. And these teams, excuse me, have managed to amass 33 points each. They are the newly quarantined teachers and the Wilborns on 33 points. So well done to Vari and Co. and Jackie and family. In 4th place, everyone's favorite miniature artist. In joint 1st place now, we've actually got a 3-way tie at the top for, I believe, the first time ever in the NSB Quarantine Quiz. Tequila Mockingbird, the Fielders, and still Laggers Legends just managed topping the table. Ooh la la. And you know what it is we're going to do to try and split the difference and get ourselves a winner. We're going to go back to my old faithful, my old favorite, the connections round. You bet you've missed those. So, quick reminder, in case you know, important things to think about. 15 questions still. Question 1, 2, 3, and 4 will just be normal questions with an answer. Question 5 will be what links the previous 4 answers. 6, 7, 8, and 9. 10 will be what links them. 11, 12, 13, 14, what links them. So you've got 3 connection sets, 4 answers, what links the answers to those questions. I will repeat the questions after the set rather than all together at the end. And if there's any round that benefits from a pen and paper, if you haven't already got one, it's this one. because you can start writing down things you think it could be, and you can fill in the gaps and that sort of thing. I know I'm teaching you to suck eggs here. You've played this before, but if you haven't got a pen and paper or something handy, now would be the time to get one. So Farad's going to pop the answer sheet into the chat now. And without any further ado, with 3 teams vying for first place and a number of teams within striking distance, for the very last time in this unprecedented time, let's play the connections round. So, connections, round 4, question 1 is: Christopher Lloyd played which iconic movie character 3 times in 1985, 1989, and 1990? Looking for the name of the character here. Question number 2. Who was the lead singer of the Go-Go's from 1978 to 1985? She then went on to have a successful solo career, including 2 weeks at #1 in the UK with Heaven is a Place on Earth. And if you haven't just broken into the chorus of that song, I question whether you are entirely human. Question number 3. In which psychological horror film of 1990 does Tim Robbins play a Vietnam War veteran haunted by dark visions and hallucinations? And question number 4, the last in this connection set: which remote outback town in Australia's Northern Territory is the closest settlement to Uluru, aka Ayers Rock? And question number 5 is, of course, what connects the answers to questions 1, 2, 3, and 4? And I'll give you questions 1, 2, 3, and 4 again. So, question 1. Christopher Lloyd played which iconic movie character 3 times in 1985, 1989, and 1990? Question 2. Who was the lead singer of the Go-Go's from 1978 to 1985 and went on to have a successful solo career, including 2 weeks at #1 in the UK with Heaven is a Place on Earth? Question 3. In which psychological horror film of 1990 does Tim Robbins play a Vietnam War veteran haunted by dark visions and hallucinations? And question number 4. Which remote outback town in Australia's Northern Territory is the closest settlement to Uluru, aka Ayers Rock? And question 5. What connects the answers to questions 1, 2, 3, and 4? So moving on to the second connection set with question number 6. In which show, which ran originally from 1990 to 1996, did James Avery play the role of Philip Banks? Question number 7. 20 years after and The Count of Braga are both famous novel by which French author? So don't need the novel they're a sequel to. I want the name of the author. Question 8. Who is the only US president in history to have served more than 2 terms in office? The only US president in history to have served more than 2 terms in office. And question number 9. Which British indie pop band won the Brit Award for Breakthrough Act off the back of their 2013 debut album, which featured tracks such as Icarus and Things We Lost in the Fire? And question number 10 is, of course, what connects the answers to question 6, 7, 8, and 9? And I'll give them to you one more time. So, question 6. In which show, which ran from 1990 to 1996, did James Avery play the role of Philip Banks? Question 7. 20 years after and the Vicomte of Bragelonne are both sequels to the most famous novel by which French author? Question 8. Who is the only US president in history to have served more than 2 terms in office? And question 9. Which British indie pop band won the Brit Award for Breakthrough Act off the back of their 2013 debut album, which featured tracks such as Icarus and Things We Lost in the Fire? And question number 10, what connects the answers to question 6, 7, 8, and 9? Hang on, lots of buffering. 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. Let me just fiddle with the router 1 minute. Thank you. Farid has popped all of the questions for that connection set into the chat in text form, which with the novel title is probably beneficial anyway, because I probably butchered it. Is that any better? I've just gone and fiddle with the router and hopefully that might have done something. Not quite. I know that there's a bit of a choke point on bandwidth and things at the minute, isn't there? Because everyone's in. Is this better? Is anyone? Are you finding it's improved? Julia, thank you. Just okay. So most people now saying that's improved. And Farid flattering me and saying that I look good to you doesn't make any difference. I'm trying to run a quiz, mate. Come on. Save it for later. Okay, I will assume that we've managed to ride that particular wave. Sorry about that. So yeah, in the chat, question 6: James Avery played Philip Banks in which show? Who wrote those sequels to a more famous novel? The French author. Who is the only US president in history to have served more than 2 terms? And who? So which indie band won the Brit Award for Breakthrough Act? This is going terribly wrong. My hay fever is now kicking in. Even worse than technical trouble is hay fever. Which British indie band won the Brit Award for Breakthrough Act off the back of their album, which included tracks such as Icarus and Things We Lost in the Fire? And question 10 is, of course, what links the answers to those questions? And I will move on to the final question set, and I'll just start again with question 11. So, question 11. Which film of 2013 saw Scarlett Johansson driving around Scotland attempting to lure men into her van? Question 12. What can be defined as a section giving extra information at the end of a book or document? Question 13. What is the name of Jack Dee's world-weary comedian in BBC comedy series Lead Balloon? And question 14, what kind of creatures are Bella and Bertie, who have stood watch over an English city since 1911? And question number 15, not to be predictable, but what links the answers to question 11, 12, 13, and 14? You saw it coming, but still have to ask it. And I'll give you questions 11, 12, 13, and 14 one more time. So, which film of 2013 saw Scarlett Johansson driving around Scotland attempting to lure men into her van? Sorry, that's really embarrassing. Sorry. Question 12. What can be defined as a section giving extra information at the end of a book or document? Question 13. What is the name of Jack Dee's world-weary comedian in BBC comedy series Lead Balloon? And question 14. What type of creatures are Bella and Bertie, who have stood watch over an English city since 1911? And then question 15 is, of course, what links those previous 4 answers? You always need a little bit longer on the connections because you need to piece them together. So I will give you a couple of minutes just to continue figuring those out, working those through. Submit them to Farid as soon as you are ready. And I'm very quickly going to go and blow my nose. Winners. Question 14. What kind of creatures are Bella and Bertie, who have stood watch over an English city since 1911? Thanks, Fred. And if you didn't hear me there, Tom, Farad's put it in. So answers starting to come in now. Fielders, if there were points for speed, you would have some extra points because you have been on the money, on the pace, every single round of every single quiz that we've done, I think. So credit to you for backing yourselves and getting them in straight away. I admire that. And it might pay dividends for you. You are on the cusp of glory. This is going to be exciting, isn't it? No. You're joking. You're joking. They have as well. No, go parts of the body as well. Oh, yeah. No, yeah, that. Yeah, that's fine. So just waiting on a couple more answers to come in, and then we can go through the answers one last time. And I can tell you who I suppose they're going to be the eternal champions, aren't they? It's like the fact that for a really long time, in fact, I think still in 15s, the USA are the Olympic rugby 15s champions just because they won it, and then they just stopped playing. So whoever wins tonight is going to go down in history in 50, 100 years time as the current holders. When we get bloody COVID 29, we're going to be saying, oh, do you want to have another go at the quiz? See if we can unseat Laggers Legends. And then we'll probably be able to do like the quiz directly through our brains. We'll just be able to connect to like a neural network, and I'll just be able to fire the questions to you. They'll probably still end up buffering. See, if you don't submit your answers in a timely fashion, this is what happens. This is the kind of thing I start talking about. So, financially, our chances. This is your fault. You're the reason I'm now talking about speculative science. Yeah. So just waiting on the one answer sheet now. That will be purely based on one of the answers that is only known as one thing, isn't it? Or only known for one thing generally. All in. Great stuff. Okay, so I won't use the leaderboard yet because it's too exciting. I can't handle it. I'll just give you the answers. Then we'll talk who's won. So, question number one. Christopher Lloyd played in 1985, 1989, and 1990 Emmett Doc Brown. Now, we have accepted Doc Brown, but those of you that know his first name might reap the benefit of that later on. Question 2. The lead singer of the Go-Go's, who had the hit with Heaven is a Place on Earth, of course, Belinda Carlisle. The psychological horror in which Tim Robbins, probably better known as Andy Dufresne from Shawshank, that was called Jacob's Ladder. A bit of a cult hit, but a really good film. And the town near Uluru is, of course, Alice Springs. Now, what connects them? Well, if we take Emmett, Carlisle, Jacob, and Alice, the teenage or young adult literature aficionados amongst you will probably know that they are all major characters in the Twilight series. Alice, Carlisle, and Emmett, all members of the Cullen clan, and Jacob, of course, the werewolf, and sort of third side of the love triangle in that series. Not that I've ever read them or anything, but yeah. Question number 6. The show in which James Avery played the role of Philip Banks. If you didn't get it from Philip Banks, you'd probably get it if I said Uncle Phil. It is, of course, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Question 7. 20 Years After and The Vicomte of Bragelonne are both sequels to the famous novel by which French author? They're both sequels to The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. Question 8. The only US president to have served more than 2 terms in office, he actually almost served out a full 4, was Franklin D. Roosevelt. And the band with tracks such as Icarus and Things We Lost in the Fire, of course, the wonderful Bastille. Tough connection here. About half of the teams managed to get this one. If we take Bel-Air, specifically, from question 6, Dumas, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the Bastille, we get stations of the Paris Metro. They are all Paris Metro stations. And the last set, the Scarlett Johansson film with her attempting to lure men into a van, was called Under the Skin. The bit at the end of the book was an appendix. Everyone got that one. The comedian played by Jack Dee in Lead Balloon was Rick Spleen. The creatures, Bella and Bertie, standing watch over an English city, the city is Liverpool, they are liverbirds. And I think possibly for the first time ever, and maybe I was being generous because it was the last one, but a connection that everybody got bang on, it is, of course, organs or parts of the human body. You've got the skin, you've got the spleen, you've got the appendix, and you've got liver or liver in liverbirds. So everyone actually getting that last connection. So not as fiendish as some of my others. I know I've had connections in the past that no one's got. US state capital still to this day the only unanswered question in my quiz, because you are a clever bunch. But yeah, so well done on that. Another round of scores. Farad, I think there's some mistake with the leaderboard. Wow. If someone wants to get on the phone to the Times for the Thursday morning edition, stop the goddamn presses. Okay, so I'll start with 6th place. No, I'll start with 7th place because it's a round number. In 7th place, with a really impressive 45 points out of a possible 60, we have Financing Our Chances, who I think have been with us from the very beginning, have they not? Yeah, played every quiz. In 6th place with 46 points, one-time winners, the newly quarantined teachers. I know your numbers have fluctuated a little bit as the weeks have gone on, but you've always been fierce contenders, and I know that sports rounds don't always suit you. But that's another really good score. So well done to Vari and everybody in her team. In joint 4th place with 48, we have some of the keenest quizzes that we've ever seen. Always in, always wanting to play, always thanking us for what we've done. The Wilborns and the Fielders. So well done to Jackie, Victoria, and their respective families. We then have a joint second. 2 teams on 49 points each. One of them, here from the beginning, one of the best quizzing teams, the best quizzing pedigree we've got, and one-time wins the quiz. Tequila Mockingbird, Helen Topping-Shaw and family with a stupendous 49 points. And also with 49, they were leading for a while, but they were just edged out at the end. Laggers Legends. Which means for those of you that are paying attention, somebody up there has been writing a script these past few weeks. They've got a wicked sense of humour. Because in first place, with 50 points out of 60, nudging ahead by just 1 point, stealing it in the last round with full marks, I can't believe I'm saying it. He's finally redeemed himself. It's Winfield's redemption. They've won. There's no tie-break, Tom. You've just won. You've won outright. You'll be the winner of this quiz forever. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Part of me's happy. Part of me's sad. And part of me just doesn't want to do this anymore. So I'm probably not going to do this anymore. No, in all seriousness, congratulations to Tom. And I don't know if Chris is with you tonight and who else is in your team, but you've been fantastic competitors throughout. You've entertained us with your highs and lows. Just to put this into perspective, right? I'm gonna indulge me for a second with a bit of history here, right? When Farad and I first came up with the idea for doing this quiz, we did a little tech demo, and we asked some of our friends at work whether they would help us sort of pilot and just check the technology. We don't have any friends at work, so we had to get in some other random people, and Tom was one of them. And he played along, and I think we just did one round of 15 or maybe a round of 20, and he got 2. And he was at the bottom, which is where his team name came from. I mocked him relentlessly. The last few weeks, he's been done dirty by tie-break questions, and then at the final moment, he's won the bloody thing. I'm so proud of him. Anyway, you're all saying thank you, which is lovely. But, you know, ultimately, I'd probably write quiz questions for fun anyway. You know, it's the kind of thing I do. So, yeah, and Farad, we all know Farad does spreadsheets for fun. So, really, the thanks are to you for turning up, playing along, bearing with me getting answers wrong, with the tech not always working. You know, the other week just having to cancel the quiz, you were still patient and eager to play again. So it's really been very, very touching and very, very gratifying that everyone's enjoyed it so much. And as a lot of us will be seeing each other tomorrow and in weeks to come, hopefully we've got through the worst of the lockdown, and we won't need this quiz as much anymore. So I won't keep you any longer. You've been very patient. Farad's just sending out or has sent out another email about payments. Should you want to contribute to the Charity Week pot as a kind of subscription, a sort of, you know, as you would in a pub quiz, don't feel obliged. It's not something you have to do, but if you want to, it'll all go toward the NSB Charity Week charities. So yeah, that's it from me. Farad, is there any last words from you? He says it's been emotional, and at the risk of laying on a bit too thick, I absolutely couldn't have done this without Farad at all. All of the cool techie stuff, the pie charts, the answer sheets, the links, the music rounds, the picture rounds, that's all been him. All I've done is write some questions and occasionally write some wrong questions, and you know, he really is the brains of the operation. So yeah, make sure that you he's the man that really deserves the thanks. I'm just the well, I was going to say the pretty face, but that doesn't even work. Don't really know what I've done. But yeah, good night. See you soon. Stay safe, stay alert, and keep quizzing. Yeah, and all this talk about a Christmas special, you never know. It might happen. In fact, might even do one in school. We might even see if we can do one face-to-face, in person, and Farah can just sit behind a little curtain or something. But yeah, it's been great. Well done, winners. Well done, everybody else. Thank you ever so much. And yeah, take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye, everybody.